What's going on, you guys? The Demigod back on Demigod ENT, and look, bro, I'm bringing you another review. So today we will be reviewing the new Amazon Prime Video series, Them. So that's the name for it right there. Kind of a simple, basic name. Reminds me a lot of Us, Jordan Peele's Us. Very similar in name and in tone and in family, really, because it features, four family members, two little girls. Damn near the exact same as we get in this. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this, man. I'm excited to talk about this. So, I originally watched the trailer for this. You can check out my trailer reaction, right? Boom, right there. Should have just popped up for you. You could watch that. But I watched the original trailer for this. This looked extremely interesting. So, I went ahead and I checked this out. And I could tell you, I am not disappointed in the slightest. I was extremely impressed by this show. Man, this show is brilliant. So, I'm going to go ahead and tell you the quick plot synopsis of this show. A black family moves from North Carolina to an all-white Los Angeles neighborhood in 1953, where the idyllic home becomes ground zero for malevolent forces. So that is the plot right there. Basically, North Carolina family in the 1950s type area moves to all white Compton, which, if you didn't know, Compton did used to be all white back in the day. Back when it was originally built, it was a beautiful neighborhood. It looked pristine, it looked clean, it looked fresh, and it was an all-white neighborhood. And now, so as we get into this show, we're seeing, a few black families begin to move into this neighborhood. And as you can imagine, the all-white neighborhood that they're moving into isn't very appreciative of their new neighbors. Now, this show basically takes us over the first 10 days that they are inside Compton. And man, let me tell you, it is extremely terrifying, especially being a person of color watching this, especially being a melanated being such as myself, watching this and seeing exactly what they had to go through as they moved into this neighborhood right off the gate, day one. Man, it's terrifying what they are put through. So just to go over the characters a little bit, Henry Emery, played by, I believe he's a musician by the name of Bashi. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. So Henry Emery inside this, man, he does a fantastic job as the father of the household, as the man of the house, as the leader of the family, especially in these times where he's supposed to be the head of the family. And wow, he puts up with a lot inside of this show. He moves here, tries to get his family a new house. He has them a new car, tries to start them a new life after some past trauma that they are all dealing with. And as you can imagine, once he arrives at this neighborhood, he is put through an immense amount of stress, an immense amount of pressure that he has to deal with. He has to solve all the problems. When people in his family are losing their minds due to the circumstances that they're put in, he has to be the one to ground them and to pull them back and try to clear their head, get them right on the straight and narrow path. You know what I'm saying? So now the wife is played by Deborah. I'm not going to attempt your last name because I'm going to butcher if I attempted, but she plays the character of Lucky Emery, of course, the wife of the family. And she is I'd say the main one dealing with trauma from the past. They all have trauma from their past, especially Emery, being as he comes from war. So he's dealing with some PTSD that he's gotten over pretty much by the time they arrive here. But her, however, she had a traumatic experience in her past. I'm not going to mention what that was due to spoilers. But we just see how once she arrives in this neighborhood, it's like all those things that she's been trying to suppress from her past and bury in the back of her memory start to come to the forefront, and she can no longer suppress those things anymore. So they start to come out in devastating ways to her and her family. And yeah, I believe she did a wonderful job. Really, everyone inside this show did a fantastic job. I don't believe I had a problem with any of the members of the cast, any of the actors inside this show. Man, they all did a fantastic job. Absolutely amazing, I must say. And the two little girls, Ruby and Gracie Emery, they did a fine job with inside this too. Two child actors, one's, obviously a little older. They did a really good job for some child actors. I was impressed with their performances, and they had to portray some pretty sick stuff on screen, and they did a good job at doing that. Now, as far as the directing of this and the suspense and the building of tension with inside this show, it's all done perfectly, I'd say. I mean, really, we see exactly how these things are shot, the way the camera pans, the way it zooms in on faces to really capture all the emotion that they are currently experiencing. It's done very well. They do the story that they're telling with inside this show an immense amount of justice, being that, hey, this is a genius idea, really. This is a genius story. One of the first black families to move to an all-white Compton where they don't really like outsiders there. I mean, that's a genius concept, and they paid it off perfectly. I'm surprised that they came through as much as they did on this show. Now, I'm seeing the critics, they're rating this a bit low, more in the 60 to 70 range. I honestly would say that this is much higher than this, and at the end of this review, I am going to give my official rating for this movie out of 10. But man, the tension that we see being built with inside this, you could just see, it's like they do this a lot inside shows and movies and films where they set a teapot to boil, right? And as it boils, usually something tense is happening in the scene right when the tea is supposed to be taken off the pot and it starts to give that really high pitched sound. They use that a lot with inside shows and movies, right? So just as we see that there, you could see that happening with inside the characters. You could see their blood begin to boil. You could see the raw emotions coming out. You could see the stress that they're being put into the situation, and everyone around them is basically driving them insane with inside this show. But while they're driving them insane, they're trying to gaslight them and act like they're the insane ones, even though, they just want to live their normal everyday life and they just want to chill, despite the ridiculous amount of harassment that they have taken upon them with inside this series. And while also with inside this show, we see some supernatural elements come into play. I will say that I don't believe that's a spoiler, considering we do see that with inside the trailer that something supernatural is happening, that there is, some monster figures with inside this, if you want to say that. And as far as the one that they did show, which was the blackface, I'll talk about that one, considering that's the only one that they've actually had inside the trailer. The blackface caricature inside of this, they did a fantastic job with that. That was my absolute favorite part of this series, was the blackface character that they used inside of this. Man, that was brilliant. I mean, that was brilliant. They used him in such a perfect way where he was trying to push, a certain character to the edge, and man, this was really a treat to get to watch. It really was. Now, I can't really talk about everything that I'd like to talk about without spoiling this movie, so I'm just gonna go ahead and give my official rating, and I'll either give the spoiler review at the end of this, after I give my rating, or I'll do a second video on it. Either way, I guess you'll see. But as far as my official rating for Amazon Prime Video's new series, Them, I rate Them a 9 out of 10. Boom. 9 out of 10. There it is. And look, man, go watch this. I'd highly recommend this to everyone, especially melanated people, melanated beings. I highly recommend this show to you because you'll be able to feel this show on a whole new level that others might not be able. Even though I still think, people who can't exactly relate with what the characters are going through can at least understand what they're going through because it's portrayed so well on screen. So that being said, go watch this, man. Go check it out. I recommend this to everyone. I believe everyone needs to see this series. That is how passionate I am about this series and how much I loved it watching through it. One of my favorite series that I've seen in quite a long time, I must say. And so with that being said, if you don't know what I do here on Demigod ENT, I do trailer reactions, show reactions, movie reviews, movie news, and unboxing videos. So if you're interested in any of that, in the right place, man, hit subscribe, hit the like button, show this video some love. I drop multiple videos a day on this channel, so that's what you can expect out of me. And if you don't already know, I am the Demigod, the chosen one here on Demigod ENT, and I'm out of this thing, man. Peace.